Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 8th grade concept of dilation representations. This is standard 8.3c in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 37 off the 2022 released STAAR test. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we've got the coordinates of the vertices of a triangle, or x, y, and z. All right, so we can go ahead and plot that because we have a nice little coordinate plane here. So -2, -1. And there's my x. I'm not going to actually label it x until I know which direction this triangle is facing. My y is 6, 8. So it's way up here. Then my z is 8, 4. Okay. So almost looks nice like an isosceles, but probably more scalene. Y, there's my z. All right, so there's my triangle, and it is dilated by a scale factor of 3/2, okay? With the origin as the center, we're going to create this new one. So how do we represent that? That's really what this is asking for, A, B, C, or D. How do we represent this 3/2? Well, here's our clue right here. It's a scale factor. So 3/2 is also 1.5, if you want to look at it that way. So that means each of these points are going to get 1.5 times larger. So we're going to create a similar dilated shape, but it's not going to be congruent. So which of these would be a scale factor? Well, let's see what would happen if we did A, right? So if we were to do A, we would take this x and this y for these 3 points. And it looks like we would multiply them by 3/2, or 1.5. Well, that makes sense, because really we're looking for something that's going to be kind of like, maybe even off the grid a little bit here. Something that's going to be a little bit larger, obviously. Kind of like that. But it's still going to end up looking the same shape, just different size. So this 3/2 would work because I see we've got this scale factor of 3/2. And when we see this word factor, we should be thinking multiplication. Because when you multiply two numbers, each of those numbers are called a factor. The answer is called a product. So the scale factor is a huge clue that we're dealing with multiplication. Let's see if we can spell that correctly. Put an IC in there. Multiplication. There we go. So I'm not sure what's happening here with B and D and why we should consider it, because we're adding. So first off, that's the wrong operation. And secondly, I'm not sure where this 2/3 is coming from. You don't just get to flip a fraction because you need something. If it's 3/2, it's 3/2, so it's definitely not that. This is going to be plus 3/2. That would take this exact same shape, and that would just kind of slide it up a little bit, but it would keep it the same shape. So this is called a translation or a slide. So that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking to slide the shape up to something kind of like this. Something that's the exact same shape, just moved up a little bit. So then we're stuck with C, but once again, I'm not sure where this 2/3 is coming from. Maybe it's just because they need 4 answer choices, and you got to come up with something. But you don't just flip or invert a fraction because you feel like it. If the scale factor is 3/2, this scale factor is 3/2. So we're not going to translate it. We are going to multiply, but we're not going to multiply it by 2/3. So the first answer is correct, A.